What's up? Good afternoon, good morning, whatever hell it is. Who knows? There's nothing going on. It's about as dull of a market as you can get, or we just call this a dull market rally. How about that? Uh, not a lot of excitement today. Not a lot going on. Just kind of steady. They're higher, kind of jerked around, but not much happened. Pretty quiet. You can see that we're just kind of reaching up against another potential resistance level. We'll see. Again, the trend is certainly tried to turn around, and I think the rate cut rally is back intact. I think that's what you're watching. I guess one bad jobs number is enough to say that the inflation is over. Of course, the commodity assets are inflating, so a lot of stuff going on here, but nothing really to trade. That's always the thing you have to remember is markets may be moving, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's something to do. And today was one of those days that I couldn't find much to do. I mean, I didn't think there was much activity. We traded this morning, of course, and we had a couple of trades that were winners, but it wasn't anything that I'd get excited about. I mean, I don't like to get involved in markets when they're so thin and so quiet. The busier, the better. The more risk I have to take, the better. But that risk is based on when it's active, when it's really busy, when I know that if I make a bad trade, I'm going to have a chance to get it back. Versus today, you might have been lucky to get one trade, if you're trying to trade actively. So, there's a lot of things going on. I don't know. There's, the numbers are not good that we're seeing, but again, it has no effect on the market. The Fed has done a horrible job trying to manage inflation. Of course, they're really not supposed to manage inflation. They're supposed to stand aside. Okay, they're supposed to be concerned about jobs and price stability. Okay, they're not supposed to be so overly involved in a day-to-day basis. I mean, I think that in the last year, I heard more Fed speak than I heard in the last 40 years. Okay. Why they're out every day talking, I have no idea. Okay. I don't think it makes sense. I think that they do a horrible job. I think that I think Ron Paul is correct. If we could end the Fed, or at least have a true audit of the Federal Reserve, that would be a good thing. Okay. But it looks like we're going to go close up near our highs. Well, whatever. Hey, here, you can watch it with me as we come up to the close. Okay. You're getting a little bit of a blow off. Now, the blow off at 5 minutes to 4 is a little bit more challenging to trade because more often than not, you'll see some follow through here into the close because it's the end of the day. So whoever's buying now is more than likely would have been short all day. Now, if you had the cojones to take it overnight, it might be a good sale. And I'm not telling you to do anything. Okay, I'm just saying that would be my thought. Okay, that this is just a little bit of a those who were short during the day and decided, well, I better get out now and either take my loss or whatever, and that's it. But look, there's not a lot of good things happening. Okay, now the poor payroll numbers did create a big rally, which is when we traded live on Friday, I said that if the number is bad, you can probably expect a rally. Now, again, did I buy into that? No, I don't. I'm not buying just because that's what I thought. But it's not a surprise because they're almost trying to will the Fed to cut rates. Now, anybody on this call is probably old enough to remember that, the rates we've had for the last, 14 years? What year is this? 24? Last 14 years are ridiculous anyways. There's no reason that they should be at these levels. Okay. I mean, most of us, our first mortgage was 10 plus. Okay. So again, I don't get the destruction of the middle class, the beating up of the little guy. because that's who's getting tortured in this market right now, and in this economy. The economy, in my opinion, is horrible. Okay, and again, it doesn't affect me, so I don't want to. I'm not crying. I'm not crying the blues for myself. My life ain't going to change one way or the other until I die. Okay, but for many, okay, I mean, if you're not making, 100 plus minimum, and depending on where you live, 100 plus, you ain't living. Okay, rent, mortgages, car payment, whatever, restaurants. I mean, I don't know how they get that inflation is coming down. I mean, does anybody here think inflation is coming down, just out of curiosity? So, I mean, I don't get, what we got going on here. Okay. Of course, now there's the rumor that Michael Obama will be filling in for Joe Biden. that's a rumor I either read or heard or whatever. But we'll see. Listen, at the end of the day, we trade the markets. Okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we do. Just got back from the grocery store. Spent $148. What'd you buy for 3 months? Did you buy groceries for 3 months there, or a lot of beer? It is William Defoe. she is William Defoe. This is a big spike here at the end, but I tell you, I might have to. Is there any big earnings coming after the close? Is there any big earnings today that I don't know about? I mean, I don't pay much attention, so. Disney tomorrow, ain't big. That's another woke piece of shit. Anyways, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch this for a minute. I might have to take a shot here. Okay, this is almost laughable, this spike rally here. But anyways, again, you get all these things going on, and I don't think any of them are good. Okay, that's what my opinion is. Okay, I don't think anything that we're watching in this country in general is any good. I think that we're paying a lot of taxes for nothing. Okay, and we certainly aren't getting anything back for your tax dollar. Okay, I mean, to me, the Ukraine, the supporting of Ukraine and all the other stuff. Look, you gave them a little bit, but to keep feeding them, and that's only so they can feed the defense contractors. Not for me. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I'm gonna take a trade here. I might just do that. But overall, I can't say that we're in real good shape as a country. Okay. Overall, I think we're kind of weak. I mean, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, 16 days worth of oil. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? I mean, you think about it. I mean, here we are with a setup that we're not moving anything. We keep going on to this flood of electronic vehicles that are all over the place, that nobody can sell them anymore because people are realizing that it may not be the best. And certainly if you're driving around town, it's fine. But if you're going anywhere of any distance, what's the point? The cost of everything is through the roof. Nobody does their job. You go to a store, you can't find any help. I mean, it's amazing how little the help they have. And of course you have the stealing, which they let go. So how can we say that anything is in really good shape here? Is anybody here comfortable walking in the streets? And if you're in a city and walking the streets and not have any fear at all about what could happen, because nobody gets in the way of anything anyways. I mean, to me, it's kind of a pretty big concern, as you see what's going on, you see the criminals and the crime that we have, that nobody stops. But Nate, what can I tell you? So at the end of the day, here we are. We're up, near the highs. The Dow, everything but the Russell is right near its high. Okay. So We'll see. We'll see tomorrow. But the volume today was about half or less than half. If the same volume sells and then same volume buys at lower prices, is that most the same person? Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't say it's the same person, but it's it's going to be, it's somewhat of it has to be some sort of an auction market. I mean, that's what we trade, is an auction market, right? There's a buyer and there's a seller. So, but the volume is look at all light. We're at half of normal, and normal's even slow. So again, there's an old adage, there's an old saying, you never sell into a dull market. Okay, because if you do, you're going to get it rammed up your ass, because dull markets just go higher. It has been that way as long as I've been trading, and it hasn't changed. I've never seen it change. Okay, that they continue to plow them forward, and that's it. Okay, so you can say whatever you want. Dull markets go higher, right? Because markets themselves are predisposed to go higher. And with the lack of sellers, and that's really what you have basically right now, I would say a seller strike right now. Oh, Kramer says buy, then that would be a pretty good sell signal. Okay. I mean, look, straight up. Okay. If you said to me, hey, I got to pick a direction for the next year. Okay. What are you going to do? I'd be a seller if you told me I had a year. Okay. But again, we're in a very interesting time. You have the pundits telling you how good everything is. And listen, everybody's their own individual. I can't speak for you. Okay. I can't say how you're doing. I can't say how you perceive the economy. Okay. I think it sucks. Okay. And again, it doesn't affect me. I don't have bitter, what's the word I'm looking for? Sour grapes. Okay. I'm not upset. Listen, it's not going to change my life one way or the other, no matter what happens. Okay. But I do feel bad for those that I know that are struggling. I do feel bad for what's going on. But at the end of the day, okay, the markets are going to do what they do, and we're not going to change it. But you have the presidential election this year. You've got all of the stuff that is telling you how good everything is. And of course, nobody cares until it's too late. And then suddenly, what do you got? Okay, then you got a meltdown. Now, will the meltdown happen for the election? As I've said in the past, I've only seen it happen once, which was 2008. Okay, can it happen again this year? Sure. Okay, will Paulson come out again and face the nation in September and say, "Hey, we're in the shit house"? I don't know. Again, I can't answer those questions. All I can do is trade what I see in front of me, and that's, I think, the biggest thing that you have to remember. Kenny, my brother, you ready to go, my boy? And I thank you for doing the notes for Connie. I know she can be here tonight. So are you ready to rock and roll, my boy? To make sure my note taker he got his scorecard and pencil ready. And boy, did I take a dump on the Derby. What a horrible pick. I actually thought that he was going to win Fierceness when he turned for home, but he had no horse on. You're made for that. All portfolios had. You're telling me anonymously you're ready? Okay. Okay. All right. So you'll have to email me on that, sir. I can't answer that now because I'd have to look at it and see. But in the meantime, the dollar, which we would be short if we traded it. Now we no longer trade the dollar. Okay. Because it's not because we don't have a problem with the dollar. It's just because it's too expensive to trade through New York. You have to pay an extra fee to trade there. So there's no reason for me to want to pay when I can simulate the same trade by trading the euro currency instead of both. That's all. In the meantime, I think you're looking at probably 104 is going to be a support level. And I think 106 now has now become resistance. I mean, it's pretty clear that was about as high as it could go. So 104 to 106, if we did trade it, we would be short. Is it because too many people traded dollars? No, it's because whichever, I forget which exchange it trades, either NYMEX or COMEX, whichever one has the dollar, charges $120 a month extra to get live trade, live information. Okay. So we just decided not to trade it. It's not worth the fee you have to pay. That's all. It's got nothing to do with anything except well, there's fees everywhere. Everybody's got fees. It just depends on who wants to rip you off. You know, when they went from not profit to profit organizations, they get you everywhere. You want to trade, pay. The euro currency, which we did reverse along today. Okay, again, I don't know that it's anything great. I'm not a huge fan, but again, I can't fight the tape. I think you're looking at 106 to 108 and a half, 106 to 108 and a half. Okay, and it wouldn't surprise me if this turned back lower again. But again, right now it's headed higher, and I'm not going to get in the way of it. There's no real reason to get in the way of it. Okay, I think you have to remember that you can think all you want, and I said this on RFD today. You can't fight the tape. You can't fight the direction. You can be right all you want. You're going to keep fighting it. You're just making a mistake. Okay. The notes, which we reversed to long today, okay, we're higher. Okay, again, no great shakes. And of course, higher notes mean lower interest rates. But we did get back to about 470. Now we're back around 450. Okay. And I think this is just a temporary situation. I think that you're going to see that the interest rates are going to go higher. Again, there's no reason I would have to believe that interest rates can go lower, and because inflation continues to soar. And if they're going to really try to get under control, they're going to have to slow the economy, which again doesn't make any sense to me either. But I'm not the guy. So in the meantime, I think you're looking at 110 as resistance. I think you're looking at 108 to 110, 108 to 110. Okay. Which is 108 was what we were watching as resistance, if you remember. Okay. The bonds, Zulu Bravo, which we're still short, okay, which will probably change tomorrow, but we'll see. I think you're still looking at, I still think you're looking at the same 114 to 118, 114 to 118. Okay. Now, again, remember, just because I give you a level doesn't mean that you automatically put in an order at that level to do something. You have to remember that you want to see the price action when it gets to that level of support or resistance, and then make your decision. But first, you have to see where that level is at. Okay. The numbers are solid, but again, it's the real key is the same as when we're trading this. Okay. Is how does it react at that level? Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So if I would have been a potential seller of the NASDAQ, which I was talking about earlier, okay, I would have been a seller probably somewhere around here. Okay, now again, it doesn't matter that it didn't make any money or didn't lose any money, but the point is that you have to see it act and react to that level that you're looking. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, Bitcoin, which now remember we were flat today. A lot of these things I'm giving you the direction, not whether we're in it or not. Okay, we would be short Bitcoin. It did get down just below that 60,000 that I thought 60 would be a nice support. Got very oversold. Now it's bounced right back to the mean. Okay, I would think that 60,000 is still support. Again, it was a false breakout to the downside. I think it's 60 to 76. I don't think that's changed. Okay. Now, again, the trend is certainly a little bit lower. We'll see how it trades from here. But again, it's been more leaning to the downside than the upside. And a lot of that was, if you were talking about that halving they did, okay, which was just cutting it, so cutting supply. It was just already priced in to the market once it happened. So now we'll see. But I think 60,000 to 76,000 is what I'd be watching here. Gold, which we're short. Again, we were flat today, but again, it's really just in a tight range. I mean, look, I can't make heads or tails out of, let's say, don't write these down because I'm going to give you different levels, but 2,300 to 2,360. Okay, I think it's more 2,300 to 2,400, and it looks like it may want to break to the downside. Now, again, I did think that we're going to make new highs. We did. I think we'll make new highs again this year at some point, but I think now it might be a time to see a little bit of selling anyways. I think it times in well with what's going on in the whole story. So at the end of the day, we would be short. Okay, we were flat today, but we would be short, and we'll see what it looks like. Again, it could change, but really it just looks like it's a market that is consolidating, doing nothing. Okay, and silver, very similar. Okay, silver had a little bit more of a rally today, but again, at the end of the day, it's really tough to look at. I think it's 26 to 29. Again, I have to give you wider ranges because of the lack of overall activity of the market. Okay, the one thing you want to remember is when it's really thin and there's very little going on, the moves can get much bigger. They can be exaggerated. Okay, and I think that's something that you have to be aware of. Again, it may prevent you from trading, but remember, trading doesn't guarantee a profit. Trying to be at the right spot can help you make a profit. Okay, just because you're active doesn't mean you're going to make money. And I think that you want to, when the markets are like they are now, you need better reasoning to be in. And right now, I don't see any reason to be actively trading silver. I mean, I would look for it either to get overbought or oversold to make a trade off of it. Okay. Platinum, which we do not trade anymore. But again, as I've told you, I've been a buyer around 900 and a seller. I think right now you're probably looking at 940 to 1,000 again, 940 to 1,000. But it really, if you look at it, it hasn't gone anywhere in 6 months. Okay, it's been down to I'm just under 9 and back up just to 1,000. It's been turning, it's been churning and burning for 6 months like that. Copper, which we're long, again, it doesn't make sense to me. But again, who am I? Who am I to say that this is going to be? I think it's 450 to 475. Okay, you look at this and it just keeps going higher. So should you fight it? And of course, I said to you last Monday, if you remember, I said, if it opens higher on Tuesday, I'm going to sell it. Okay, as a trade. Well, it didn't give me a chance. Okay, because it didn't open at higher, it opened flat to lower, and I was waiting for a rally to sell. I never had a chance, but it was the right idea. But again, it goes back to what I tell you is I have to see and want to see the price action when it gets to that point. Okay, it's not an automatic unless it's a blow off. And it was very close, but that was again what I was waiting for. Corn. Now these are interesting. This was, if you're a grain trader or if you watch grains at all, they were pretty impressive today. Okay. Now they're extremely overbought now all of a sudden. But if you trade these, they were down all night long. They were down into the first close this morning when they shut the market at 8:45 Eastern time before they reopen at 9:30. And they were all down across the board. And then suddenly they flipped and popped. Okay. They had some reasonable volume. Look at the volume in the last 3 days going higher. Now, this is something interesting. If you think of inflation, okay, if you think of what Powell said last week, and he said that we're having trouble getting inflation under control. And all of a sudden, if you're a fund running a lot of shorts in the grain markets and you realize that these commodities might start to inflate, you might start to cover, which could be a part of how the covering was. Maybe it was a little bit of a short covering rally. But right now, I would think corn's next resistance is about 480. Okay, I think support now is about 440. Okay. Soybeans, look at this. Again, very overbought. These would be trades if you're a blow-off trader, okay, if you know that trade, if you make that trade, if you're a short-term trader, you would be looking for a spot to sell soybeans, not corn yet, okay, but soybeans for sure, okay. Now, again, I'm not telling you to go out and sell them, but this would be a blow-off trade. If you got a higher open tomorrow and then saw some weakness on a short-term chart, you might want to look at it. But I'm not recommending it. We're long, and I think that your next target here is 1280, okay, on the upside, okay, and I think you're looking at $12 on the downside. Pretty wide range, but of course, it has just rallied over $1 in 2.5 days. Okay. Wheat, another. Now, this is very close to a blow off as well. Look at how overbought this got. And of course, we've talked about this. You will get at some point some sort of a pullback. Again, I would be looking to be a short-term seller. I mean, it's not going to change my long-term position. It's not going to change what's in the portfolio, okay? Because again, at the end of the day, I'm not going to fight what the long term, but for a short term trade where I could maybe pick up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 cents, 500, $1,000, $2,000 per contract, I'm going to make that trade. Okay. One thing has nothing to do with the other when we're trading. That's why you have to keep things separately so that you can do different types of trades and different types of accounts so that you're prepared to do that. But certainly I would look at, so tomorrow I'm going to look at soybeans and corn, and soybeans and wheat. And, depending on how they trade, if they spike up early, I'm probably going to find a spot to get short for the day or two. Now, you remember, I was always a buyer down here. I kept telling you I was going to be a buyer. Okay. And that was because of price. Well, now I'm telling you, I'm looking to be a seller because of the pattern, not because I don't think they're going down, but now we're getting a little bit carried away and the markets are getting extremely overbought. Does that make sense? Okay. So those are things you have to look at. That's recognizing the market that you're trading. In the meantime, wheat, I would tell you, would probably be $6 to $6.60. $6 to $6.60. Cattle has been absolutely doing nothing. Now, I really believe, okay, now I've been short this, right? And I really believe that if what I'm seeing in the economy and what I'm seeing and everything else, that yes, there's some risk to the upside if I'm short, but I think the payday is going to be huge to the downside. That's an opinion, okay? But again, this is weighing a lot of factors into it. In the meantime, it's really just consolidating between 174 and 180. So that's the levels I got to give, 174 to 180. Feeder cattle, again, really just consolidating, but would fall into the same thing. But I'd have to tell you 236 to 252. Hogs, which I got the wrong hog market up. It's not the wrong market, but I want July. The ones that are over a buck. Okay, notice, remember what we said last week. They were a little bit high, a little frothy, probably come down to about a buck. And I think a buck is about right. I would be a buyer at a buck, again, depending on the action, at $1. Okay, I would look to be a buyer. Okay, this is a seasonal type of trade. It is a oversold condition. Certainly, I would want to be potentially long. I think you're still looking at 100 or $1. That's $1 a pound or 100 bucks to 110. Nat gas, which we reverse along again, very overbought, up at resistance. I would think that you're looking at 240 as the next resistance level, and I think that now you can look at $2 as support. Okay, and now the clock is starting to work to where these situations are, we're still far away, but before you know it, it'll be the end of summer, and all of a sudden now the weather does start to come into play. Okay, but right now we're long. Crude oil, Charlie Lima, very oversold. Okay, continues to go lower. We are short, and I would think that now your next support level is probably 77. Okay, and I think that your resistance level is 82. But I will say this. You can bet your ass that there's going to be a pretty sharp rally here at some point this week. Okay. I don't know when, I don't know where it's going to come from, but it is extremely oversold. And there's going to be something that's going to trigger a bigger rally. If all the grains and nat gas are overbought, does that mean something for inflation? No. I mean, it means something for the market. I mean, inflation is at retail and at wholesale, but it means nothing here. Okay. I mean, inflation is out of control. No matter what they tell you, inflation is out of control. I mean, you have to know that in your own spending. Okay, what are you spending, right? So, cocoa, which finally has decided that it had enough of that monster rally. It went to ridiculous levels that were short. I think you can look at 70 as support, and that's 70 cents. Okay, I think you're looking at 70 to 90. Okay, and again, I remind you every week, but I'm going to say it again because that's what I do. You're not interested in trading this short term. Okay, this is too tough of a market. It's too thin of a market. You can only carry and hold a position. So you shouldn't really be Warren Gaza. I don't think it matters anymore. Again, remember, everybody knows what's going on in the Middle East. and yet oil is still going lower. Okay. Remember that. So everybody knows there's no secret here what's going on there. Now, again, a major breakout, a major war could cause some issues. But at the end of the day, everybody knows what's going on. So why hasn't the market rallied from here? Okay. And I'm not saying that it should. I'm just saying that if you're thinking that way, and there's nothing wrong with thinking that way, but at the end of the day, we're sitting here. Okay. So in the meantime, cocoa 70 to 90. Cotton, which surprised me that it headed lower, but it is very oversold. Certainly, look, I am not recommending this to anybody, but if it gets back to 75 cents, I'm going to look at it myself. Okay. As I buy on an oversold, too cheap. Again, there's certain things. There's one thing about consumable goods. Okay. The consumable goods are consumed. They have to be either planted or mined or drilled or whatever. Okay. Unless we're going to stop using it, then there's got to be some area where it's going to find a bottom. Okay. And I'm willing to go into an oversold condition. Crude traded so tightly. Yes, it did. Everything kind of traded pretty tightly. What's up, doctor? You're back in New York, or you're still in Germany? So again, I think that, 75 to 80 in cotton. Sugar, which we're short, this is just hovering along the bottom. And this is another, remember, the soft commodities are not for the faint of heart. B, are not for those who don't have capital to trade, and they're not meant to be day traded. Okay. Oh, cool. Good for you. And then Poland, good for you. And so sugar would be, I think, 19 cents to 19 to 20. OJ, it's been straight sideways. And to me, the fact that it's held up this long with this price movement, okay, it's 360, 380, which makes it virtually untradeable. Anyways, and whether you were trading or not, but I wouldn't, again, it's not something you can trade anyways. And coffee, which we're short, and it continues to go lower. And again, as I told you last week, I would look for a spot to buy it, and I found a spot to buy it. It worked out well, and I'm going to look tomorrow. Again, a lower opening, I'm probably going to step in and buy some. Okay. And again, these are not long-term trades. Okay. These are trades that are for moments. Okay. For a couple hours, maybe. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Again, I don't want you to think that you have to do something, crazy. What you want to find is the opportunity to make a quick couple of bucks, okay, on solid things. Okay. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay. Listen, these are you're finding a reason to buy, you're finding a trigger to make that buy or sell. Okay. And you're going to act on that. Okay. And you have to make sure that you also have your stop in place, knowing where you're getting out. Okay. And lumber, which of course we don't trade at all, but it's interesting that lumber and copper are going in opposite directions, because you would think that they're both building supplies, they would be going together, but they're not. And of course, the thing with copper, of course, is copper is more controlled by the Chinese. So if they can do anything to screw us, they certainly will. Okay. Thank you, sir. Great call. All right. So any questions on part one before we flip over to part two? All right, let me stop this recording and we'll get on with the regular Monday call.
All opinions expressed by Tradier Hub contributors are solely the contributors' opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Tradier nor its affiliates and/or subsidiaries. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Hub contributors as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or to follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their opinion. The contributors' opinions are based on their own personal research, but neither Tradier nor its affiliates and/or subsidiaries warrants its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. Any trades or positions discussed or referred to by contributors may or may not be actually actual live trades or positions. Such information is not intended to be financial or investment advice. Tradier Inc. is the parent company of Tradier Brokerage Inc. Tradier Brokerage Inc. and Tradier Inc. are separate entities with their own products and services. Securities products and services are offered through Tradier Brokerage Inc. Tradier Brokerage Inc. is an independent subsidiary of Tradier Inc., all rights reserved, member FINRA SIPC.